All right, some quotes to sink in. And I'll close it up and then I'll open it up for Q&A. Frederick Douglass, I will fight alongside anyone who fights for what is right. The main point, the reason why Frederick Douglass said this is there are a lot of people that he was totally against for a long time. But for a certain issue, this one person that was against him in all these other issues, but this one issue, he's saying the right thing. So instead of turning his back on him, he'll go and still fight alongside this one individual for this certain issue. Nothing else, but for this certain issue because he's saying the right things. And we the people need to do that same thing. We need to stop dividing. Yes?
Before you get off the subject of tools,
yes.
What we have that's great is community radio. Anybody can come on, and I'm taking science.
There you go. That is outstanding. And social media is superb for the younger generation, and not just the younger generations, but it's literally taken over. You got what, maybe 70 people here, maybe give or take, and in social media. I guarantee the same age groups that you see here, the window from the youngest to the oldest here, they're at home on social media right now, Facebook and Twitter and on the radio as well. So yes, thank you for bringing that up. Okay, the next one is Lawrence W. Reed. He's got this little book, and it's fabulous, and I wish I remember the title, and I don't, but I'll send that to you so that you have it. But he said this: if you do not govern yourself, you will be governed. He talks a ton about character. He talks a ton about character is everything in our republic. It's everything in leadership. It's everything in that handshake that we're losing, right? My father, born in 1914, you know, he's the one that taught me a man's handshake is everything. That's all you have. It doesn't matter about how much money you have, the car you drive, the clothes you wear. You know, it's all about your word and your character and leading by example. And so you need to govern yourself as an individual first. Okay? Anybody here not sinned in their life? Not sinned? Who's perfect? Come on. There's somebody who's perfect, right? I'm not perfect, but I'll guarantee you, I'll preach to my daughters what not to do from my experience of what I learned the hard way, right? And even though they're both grown now and stuff, I hope I did my job that way. But with my neighbors and everybody, they have to hear you say, don't let the progressives come back and combat you with things that you've done in your past. Oh, look at you talking so righteous. I remember when you so-and-so and so-and-so. Stop them right there. Yeah, you know what? You're right. I did so-and-so and so-and-so. But I'm not so-and-so anymore, am I? Because now I know what I did wrong. And now I'm preaching against it, and I'm hoping nobody else does. Same thing with the principles, right? Right? We all need to do that. So if you don't govern yourself, then you will be governed. In other words, the government's going to continue to grow big if you don't get involved, if you don't get engaged. All right, next one. Sun Tzu, right? One of the greatest war generals of all time. He says, know your enemy and know yourself. Then in 100 battles, there will be 100 victories. That's 100% right. Knowledge is power. Go back to that little black book. Just start doing it as an individual basis. Report that back to your group. Talk about it. Set something up to where you all have that dialogue. Okay? Next one. James Madison, and this is my favorite. It comes from the Federalist Papers 41. Every man who loves peace, every man who loves his country, every man who loves liberty ought to have it ever before his eyes, that he may cherish in his heart a due attachment to what? The Union of America, and be able to set a due value on the means of preserving it. Okay, very formal speech from our founders, right? And they actually wrote the Federalist Papers for the common man who wasn't educated. And we got college graduates today that has a hard time understanding what this is even saying. Right? And that's our fault. That's our fault. But what he's saying is the means is what? All these tools that we've been talking about. Right? You got to find out what these tools are. You got to find what out your strengths are. Develop your focus. All right? As a group. It's a great one. Okay. And I'll leave you with this one before I open up the Q&A, and this is from me. The power that has been taken from the people will return to the people because of the leader you are today and the things you will champion tomorrow. And if you're not going to champion anything tomorrow, then don't complain. Don't even come to your meetings anymore. Be that sunny patriot that Thomas Paine talked about. Go home and wait for it to get good again before you come in and get active. We don't need that cancer. We don't need that division in the movement. We the people. Started 3% fought the Revolutionary War. Everybody else was a summer soldier, the summer soldier. They stood back. Well, whoever wins, we'll just get along with them. Thank God, our side won, right? Right, sir? Thank God. All right, with that, I'll open up the Q&A. Yes, sir.
I look at what's going on in Washington, D.C. as a total disconnect from the average voter who wants things to change, but they absolutely have no political will, even though the voter will support it, to make changes necessary in order to make the long-term existence of this country viable. And I don't know, like getting rid of Boehner seemed like we just traded one dumbass for another one, because Paul Ryan immediately passed the amendments bill, and what we got the same problem we had before we got rid of them. So I think something has to be done around the United States. Essentially, this is already bankrupt, we're going to collapse before it's going to get better. I start with the same on fencing. I hate to sound negative, but I believe it's gone too far, too long. And I know I get involved and do things, and I feel a sense of hopelessness because of what our current situation is.
One of my favorite Johnny Cash songs is actually a poem, The Ragged Old Flag. And in there he says, she's been through the fire before, but I think she could take a whole lot more, right? But I'm kind of with you. That was true in the 60s. That was true in the 70s. But now we are on the verge of losing our nation. And we are on the verge, exactly what you're saying. I agree with you. And that feeling is all over the place. And it's an actual fear. But it's a fear we cannot run from. It is a fear that we can combat by understanding the power of we the people. And we the people have got to come together. And there's no better place to start from your local community. Take over your local community first. And grow your ranks, grow your membership. And don't worry about up there, because everything else is going to take care of itself if we can get every community in the United States to do this very thing. Take over your school board. Start denying these Common Core crap that comes down the pike. Start denying federal funds that's going to come into your community, but there's a price. We'll let you have this grant. You can build this or have this great museum if you're not on the city council, if you're not on the school board, then that's your fault. Does that make sense? So I agree 100% with you, but we can combat it.
For example, I'll give you an example of frustration. We see in 2008 there was a financial collapse in the United States involving mortgages and the subprime market of mortgages. And there was nobody taken and put in jail because the Wall Street crowd, in my opinion, are pro-business, but was corrupt. The rating agencies, the people that voted these mortgages together did so in a fraudulent and criminal manner to get profits. And not one person, essentially, in the United States went to jail for doing this. And I believe that's a sign of the times of how far our nation has slipped into the toilet immorality and lack of believing in the law. I mean, why should I obey the law if they don't have to? I mean, it's getting to that point.
Right.
And I think that's why you see things like in Burns, Oregon, where an agency, which we saw here locally here on the Lake Earl issue, where they raised the lake level, they say that's a new baseline, and voila, under CEQA, they're allowed to raise the lake and flood private property. Well, they did this to the Hammonds. The Hammonds burned, put a backfire to stop a fire, apparently, and that was a wildfire. And ended up getting on a charge with arson, go to jail for a short period of time, a year or less, and then they get recharged as terrorist arsonists, and then they wonder why people got guns, and they're trying to fight these agencies, when in reality, the agencies, BLM, has tried numerous times to buy the property.
Yeah. And there's thousands of those kinds of circumstances, but I want to give another example. But I want to preface it with this. We all understand what the United States of America is, right? In other words, he does. He understands. Yeah. The states, the United States, each state is a sovereign nation unto itself. Okay? We, the people of every state, is a sovereign nation to itself. We have 50 sovereign states, 50 sovereign nation that has agreed through the Constitution of the United States to be united. Okay, does that make sense? And that only continues to have power and understanding if we, the people, understand our position within authority. So, with that said, the example I want to share is 37 states, I believe. I'm almost positive. It's 37 states came together and said, no, we are not going to allow you to have refugees come into our state. Right? 37 governors knew their authority and coming together said, we're not going to take your refugees. It's the same thing. Start from your local community. Start taking over your local community. Start educating everybody in your community and growing your ranks, so eventually your school boards, your city council, your mayorships can start denying and understanding the Constitution, but start denying all this big government stuff that's trying to take over. Your county sheriffs. Vote in the county sheriffs to understand that the sheriffs aren't accountable to anybody but you. They're not accountable to the federal government. The federal government can't come into the sheriff's county and say, this is what we're going to do, and the sheriff can arrest federal officials that come in his county and try to do something against what he is trying to defend. The sheriff's departments across this country are our last paramilitary defense. After that, then it's the militias, right? Make sense? Any other questions? Anybody? Comments? Critiques?
I'd like to say I don't really think the Tea Party fizzled out. I think the wait for the right. I talked to a lot of people. Right time come along, I think it's here. They're here.
Right.
We need a presidential candidate. We need a third party called the Tea Party.
I'm glad you said that.
Because I'm a member of the GOP, but on the Senate Committee, and he just kicks off the Senate. But we need to have the Tea Party value in the GOP, or get rid of the GOP, because the people in Washington seem to be disconnected from the very values that established the GOP.
Well, right now, on the issue of getting rid of the GOP, we are not at that point yet nationally, and we shouldn't be. And the reason why is because now that we are in that third phase, we are identifying that we are fighting two fronts, the progressive movement as well as the leadership of the GOP. But we have gotten a handful of good champions, Tea Party minded, constitutionalists in the Senate, in the Senate and in Congress, but it's only a handful right now. Okay, so slowly but surely we're taking over our central committees. We're just not there yet. The progressive movement has already completed their takeover. 20% of the Tea Party movement in 2010 were what we call John F. Kennedy Democrats, or blue dog Democrats because they were pushed out by the progressive movement. The old Democratic Party does not believe in the progressive movement. The progressive movement took over the Democratic Party all the way through, and now it's spilling over to the leadership of the Republican Party. The We the People movement, the Tea Party movement, the Liberty movement, whatever you want to call it, we're all one and the same. We are not quite there yet, but we are there, needing to continue that fight. Okay? I want to share this. Do I have a couple more minutes?
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say that, you know, as we see since 2009 when the Tea Party actually started, when it actually grew, and in 2010 you saw in the elections the change that was brought forward, and then again in 2012, 2014, the changes that have been made are significant compared to where we were back in 2009. The power of the Tea Party has done all that. And now you look today, you would not have seen a Donald Trump. You would not have seen a Ted Cruz. You would not have seen a Marco Rubio. You would not have seen a Ryan.
Paul.
Was that? All right. You would not have seen
Ron Paul. Ron Paul.
Or, what's that?
Ron Paul.
Ron Paul. You would not have seen
Rand Paul.
You would not have seen a Rand Paul on the ticket running as a Republican. You didn't see those type of people. You saw the Jeb Bushes. You saw those type of what we used to call rhino Republicans running. And to see what we have today is a reflection of the reason why the Tea Party started. The reason why the Tea Party originally started was because we felt the strong disconnect between the party politic and the voting, the representative voter. It just wasn't there. The people would go off to Sacramento, they'd go off to Washington, D.C., and they would represent their party, but they wouldn't represent the voters. And the elections we see coming out today, the people that are on that position today, are exact, and why they are the front runners, are the exact reasons what we're talking about today. The feeling across this country is one of the strong desire for change. And they're looking towards these individuals as being change agents. And maybe you can speak to that. This current election, this current presidential election.
Sure. In Iowa, the Iowa Grassroots Coalition, we sat down and we learned from 2012. 2012, the Tea Party was at its strongest, right? And nationwide, we were unified until the last 6 months of 2012. And the reason why we divided and we defeated ourselves is because we were still in the paradigm that we are electing government officials to do this for us. Oh, this is our champion. And what's your name, sir? Tim. Okay, Tim's our champion for Crescent City, and we're going to send him to the State House. So we vote him, and we all come together, and yes, it's a landslide. Tim goes to the State House, and he don't hear from us anymore. So Tim needs support. Where's we the people? Where's all of my constituency that got me here? So his only support is who? The other GOP members, the establishment that's been there for years, the corrupt ones. Oh, it's okay, Tim. You know, you just go ahead and vote this way. It's better for the people, and we'll school you how to tell them a little bit later. Just vote this way. And there's no support. There's no constituency around. So Tim ends up voting that way, and the next thing you know, he's a turncoat. And Tim's the bad guy, and we are the ones that put him there, but we are the ones that are now going to talk trash about him.
Getting a lot of money too.
And it's our fault. Because,
Lobbyists.
yeah, the lobbyists too. But again, Tim won't even lean on the lobbyists if Tim is hearing all that information. reading the bills that they want them to vote on and bringing it back to you, the constituency, because you guys are asking about it, right? He's telling you that such and such issue is being voted on, and you guys are paying attention, so now he can be a true representative of the people. That's the elected official supposed to be. Remember, 12-1, right? Right? Yay and 1 abstain. That's the reason. That's the way it's supposed to work. So anyway, in 2012, we all picked a champion. I was a Michelle Bachmann fan, or she was my champion, and other people were Ron Paul, and other people was Newt Gingrich, and the next thing you know, these Tea Party groups were fighting each other. Well, I can't believe that group is for Newt Gingrich. He's done this, he cheated on his wife, blah, 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 and just a whole laundry list. And so they stopped rallying together, they stopped working with each other, and at the very last minute, what happened? And this was nationwide. But what happened? Mitt Romney just stepped right in. The establishment with all that money. We can't compete against and combat against all that money. Yes, you can. Every 8 hours, an individual person volunteers to get out to vote, to go and knock on doors, is equal to $11,000 donated money to a campaign. That's how we beat it. That's how Bevin got in. Okay? So what we did is we in Iowa said we don't want that division to happen. So we got to come up with something different, and we did. Usually there's just one column that we assess candidates on, and it's on issues, where they stand on issues, right? That's all we hear. Okay, I like what he says, and blah, blah, blah. But we said we got to have more than that. So we came up with 3 areas. Not only the issues, but the character of the individual and the core values of each individual. And we have 7 subcategories under each one of those 3. So what we ask all the people in the state of Iowa is, you as an individual, what's your name, sir?
Cliff.
Cliff, I want you to take one of these cards for each one of the candidates and do Cliff's assessment of each one. It's a total of 105 points, right? So Cliff comes up with all his, so let's say he does all 14, right? Cliff, then we ask Cliff, please put in order your number 1, the highest scoring, to the least. Take your top 10 and submit your top 10 of an honest assessment, Cliff's honest assessment, into the Iowa Grassroots Coalition website. Okay? If everybody did that, now Cliff's 1, 2, 3 might be Gregg's 3, 4, 5. Right? But that's okay, because we have faith in we the people that the most conservative person, because everyone's actually assessing each candidate instead of just listening to the polls that Fox News or CNN or MSNBC or your local paper is putting out saying who the best is, because those are all manipulated. Each one of those polls is maybe 1,500 people. It's randomly granted, but it can be so manipulated. Well, we're only going to ask 25 from this district, 30 from that district, or whatever, to get the results from their polls. So it's easily to be manipulated. This isn't a poll. This is an assessment, an honest assessment each one of you as individuals are doing on each candidate. And now we get it, and once we get all of them at the end of each month, the Iowa Grassroots Coalition posts the top 5 that the grassroots in the state of Iowa are saying are the top 5 conservative. And we feel and we trust that we, the people of Iowa, would make sure that the establishment wouldn't get in there, because the establishment we know isn't conservative, right?
Right.
And it worked like a dream. We started last January, and we posted the results for December just last week, and it's working perfect. I'm not endorsing any candidate publicly. Okay, I just want to tell you how this panned out for the state of Iowa for the month of December. At the 15th of this month, we're actually going to consolidate the entire year. And prior to the Iowa caucuses, we're going to have this up so that 60% of the voting population that don't pay attention to politics until a week before they go vote will have a place to go and actually see where an honest assessment of the top 5 most conservative candidates are. And the top 5 in Iowa right now is Cruz, Trump, Carson, Paul, and Huckabee. And those are the top 5 in that order. And Cruz has got double digits on everybody. And so that's just the way it is in Iowa right now. So again, I'm not endorsing anybody, I'm just sharing with you. And you can go to iagrc.com, that's the Iowa Grassroots Coalition, iagrc.com, and click on candidates and you'll be able to see that. But the reason why I wanted to share this with you, number one, is that process right there, number one, keeps everybody understanding that we're not dividing. We're not getting in that my daddy's bigger than your daddy syndrome and put my candidate up against yours and talking bad about each other's candidates. All we're doing is everybody is being encouraged to get engaged, right? And so, but the key is number 4, our in our directions. Number 4 is the most key. What number 4 says is, Cliff, when your number 1 drops out, don't go home. When your number 1 drops out, take your number 1 shirt off, go take number 1 sign out of your yard, and whoever Cliff's number 2 is, you put number 2 shirt on and number 2 sign and put that in your yard, and you go knocking door to door and call that campaign and work for Cliff's number 2. And we ask each and every one of you to do that. Whoever your number 1, whoever your number 2 is. The reason why, it's like compound interest, right? It's like a tsunami that will build up, that will just destroy the establishment candidate in the end. Does that make sense? And so far, it's working like a dream. There was a question.
But that's harder to do. I mean, you're talking about Iowa there, which you have Cruz and then Trump being number 2.
Right.
Cruz, I'm there 100%.
Right.
Trump, I'm gone.
Right.
Completely gone.
Right.
So there, for you to say if Cruz drops out and picked up something from Trump, those candidates are so different. That's harder to do than say to them to do, I guess.
It is hard to do. But if Trump's not your number 2, go to your number 2. So if Rubio or whoever else is your number 2, go to your number 2. Nationally, this will still beat out that establishment candidate. Bush will never even have a prayer. Okay, so just have faith in we the people that most conservative will win. In Iowa, it's kind of weird. Number 1, we never stopped campaigning there. I mean, 6 months after the election, we have other people start visiting Iowa that's going to be running the next cycle. But anyway, if you look at the west side of Iowa, is a lot of the Minutemen, blue-collar type of workers and stuff like that. And so that's the constituency there. The center part, all the way down, is the evangelicals, really strong evangelicals in Iowa. The east side is the libertarians, it is the Ron Paul, the Paulites. And they killed us last time. Not only did Bachman's people jump her ship and went over to Ron Paul's wagon, but once Ron Paul was out, everybody went home. And Mitt Romney was smiling from ear to ear, you know. So you have to stay engaged. Again, e pluribus unum, from the many one. And to be able to understand that, just get out of that individualism and understand that through your process of being engaged for your champion, and me not being mad at you for who you're championing, but being involved, being engaged is the key. I hope that makes sense. Any other questions? Yes.
I don't have a question, I just have something to say. The thing that's happening with Donald Trump right now is just showing me, and hopefully a lot of people, the dissatisfaction of a lot of people in this country, and people that probably would never ever think about being involved with the Tea Party movement. But you were talking earlier about just talk to people. We have a really good opportunity now and a window before this whole election thing takes place. So if we all just start talking to people, people that are so unhappy with, and don't even know why, except that they don't like the way things are going, but get involved, they may get involved with the Tea Party. They may, just something you might say, they may realize, yeah, I think just like you do.
That's 100% correct. And that's what has to happen. Educate folks. Let them know what you do know and let them know what you don't know. I mean, someone that you might meet on the street that's not part of your Tea Party group might be a very strong patriot and might teach you something. So have those conversations. My dad used to tell me, he says, Greg, never talk about religion or politics. That's all I do, is talk about religion and politics. Because that is life. Without talking about religion and politics, then you are going to be governed. Does that make sense? Any other questions? Okay, I think that's it.
We want to thank Greg for coming all the way to Crescent City.